Fam, what's going on? Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. Thank you very much for watching today. It's January 2nd, 2025. I hope you guys are off to a fantastic start. Give me your thoughts on the playoff games that you watched yesterday. We have one playoff game coming up today. Again, thoughts and prayers to everybody affected in New Orleans. I appreciate you guys watching the show. Thank you so much. Today on the show, we're going to recap the college football playoff games. I'm going to give you my take on watching those playoff football games. And one thing that I want to ask you from the jump, what did you notice? You can add a couple of different things, different elements. What did you notice specifically from the teams in the playoff games compared to Alabama football? There's a couple takeaways that I have for you coming up on the show. You have LT Overton, who announced yesterday that he is returning for 2025. You also have Jaren Hamilton, who is the fifth wide receiver to hit the NCAA transfer portal. We'll dive into that. We'll also talk about a really big quote from Kellen Russell, Alabama's cornerstone piece of that class of 2025, and we'll dive into much more right here on Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys one more time. T, what's up? Good morning to you.
Good morning, everyone.
All right, we have T, and we'll give you a quick status update on the puppy. We still have Pearl in Birmingham, so thoughts and prayers. I really am grateful for all that continued support within our beloved French Bulldog. So we're trending in the right direction. We'll keep you posted as soon as she gets home, hopefully within a couple days or so. All right, so let's dive into it. I start off with some of my observations from the playoffs and compared to Alabama football. All right, these were a couple of things that jumped off to me. I watched the games yesterday. We just posted up, and these were things that just specifically jumped out to me, okay? Teams were flat out better than Alabama football, 100%. I'm on record, and I have some pretty viral Facebook posts out there or YouTube shorts, whatever you want to look at, fighting for Alabama to make the playoffs, right? When I look in hindsight, clearly I was wrong about that. From what I watched yesterday, just from the games that took place yesterday, those teams were better football teams than Alabama. They flat out looked better. I thought, let's kind of take it, the two games that we watched yesterday. My goodness, Arizona State, that was a really well-coached football team. I think the young football coach Dillingham is doing such a great job with that program. I mean, he was at Florida State before that, but kind of the fire and the passion for somebody that young to be able to go head-to-head with Steve Sarkisian, this is one of the things that I thought really jumped out to me, was not only were they better teams, I thought that the offensive play calling was fantastic. Am I wrong on that? I felt that they were able to get the football effectively to their playmakers, right? You look to Scatterbo, how they were able to design plays specifically to him. Now, I was doing some research yesterday, and did you know that he played a little bit of quarterback? So that's not the only time that he's thrown a touchdown pass or two, but having that in kind of those in your arsenal when he threw the 42-yard touchdown pass. I think he accounted for almost 300 yards in this game. So designing specific plays and being creative enough to get the football to someone like that, I thought that certainly stood out. You look to what Ohio State did with Jeremiah Smith. They specifically designed plays that it just wasn't like a deep pass, right? Like a jump ball. It was specific schematics on the offensive side to get him the football, which they did. You look at the high level play. Oh my goodness. Look, every single quarterback, even from that game, what was that, Friday night or whenever that, I don't even know. When was I've been in such a headspin, but whenever Penn State and Boise State played, that was the first playoff game. I think that was after Alabama. I even felt that Boise State's quarterback was better than Jaylen Miro. Now, at the back end of the game, he started throwing some interceptions that were kind of forced. But I felt that every single team that we've watched so far, right, in this round of the playoffs specifically, those quarterbacks were better than Jaylen Miro. Do you agree or do you disagree? I felt that, my goodness, the Arizona State quarterback, baller. Quinn Ewers, fantastic, specifically in late game situations as well, came through 322 yards with 3 touchdowns in the game, right? Penn State's quarterback, I've liked him throughout the season. He was better than Jaylen Miro. You look to, just every single thing that we saw yesterday. Dylan Gabriel, better. Will Howard, nobody talks about him from Ohio State, better. So all those things were jumping out to me. I also felt, look, and this is hard to say, and I know a lot of this might be controversial because when you talk about Alabama football, you want it to be a specific way, but these were the things that stood out to me. it seemed like these teams had more heart. Now, I was thinking about this. I was like, do they have more heart because they're playing in the playoffs? Because, when you have these exhibition games, they might not mean as much. And I don't know what's happening with Ohio State or Penn State or Boise State before the games. But when I'm watching Alabama before their games, like before they physically play, I see players like showing off their grills, right? Because they just got paid. And that's the other thing. You don't hear this morning like Greg Byrne being like, hey, we need more Yay Alabama money to be able to win. Like, I was thinking, like, man, that because I see before the game, the players doing like videos and the grill. I don't know if these other teams are doing that. It just seems like these teams were prepared and focused for battle to go up against other good teams. I don't know. I mean, Desmond Howard, you know what caught me off guard? As Desmond Howard said when he was watching Michigan and Alabama, and he played at Michigan. He's like a Michigan guy. He said that he didn't even know some of the players on Michigan because there were so many players that had opted out, like so many reserve players. And we got a super chat in here. T, can you read that? It's I think it's from Gelato.
Yeah, Gelato was asking if we saw the video of Milroe tipping plays.
Yeah, so what everybody's talking about, and this is a viral clip, I'm sure everybody saw it. So someone, I think it started on TikTok and then it made its way to X. So Jaylen Miro, based on where his feet were at, if his feet were parallel, like together, he was going to run. And if they were kind of, not parallel, he was going to throw. And they said that he's been doing this all season. I haven't had a chance to go watch every single Jaylen Miro pass that he's thrown. Obviously we did throughout the season, but that didn't really stick out to me. I don't, was he tipping plays? Are there tell signs? Absolutely. I remember even when, I was a young wide receiver, one of the things would be like I would pull down my shoulder pads, basically telling people that I was about to go on a takeoff route. So there are tell signs, and that comes on coaching. If he really was doing that, that is something they certainly need to address. Again, I do not know all the, facts on that. But there are tell signs, and that comes back to coaching. Is like, hey, one of the things that we noticed, Jaylen, within these certain drives, is that you're giving these tell signs. So I don't know. I thought it was a good observation, and from what the video did show us, and the short video doesn't tell all, but I mean, yeah, there were tell signs on that. So that was a viral video. I'm sure that everybody saw that inside the comment box. The coaches I felt had more fire than Alabama. Do you agree with this or not agree? I know Kalen DeBoer gets a little bit animated on the sideline, but it seems to me that Ryan Day is pissed off. He is like dead set on winning a championship. It doesn't seem like he's messing around. He's just like so focused. Dillingham, this guy, the young guy, has like fire. Steve Sarkisian, fire. Kirby Smart, fire. It seems like the coaches even have more fire on the sidelines than what's going on here at Alabama. Again, not on the sidelines. These are just observations that stood out to me. Okay, so those are a couple things just when watching the college football playoffs. I appreciate your feedback inside the comment box. If you feel that those things stood out to you, and I want to hear from you inside the comment box, post things that stood out to you from watching those games yesterday. And I see Samuel asking about Jahad Campbell. Jahad Campbell, yeah, absolutely a beast. He might not have asked about him, but he has not declared yet for the NFL. I would imagine he does. I have him as a top 15 guy in the NFL, as you saw LT Overton coming back. And I think that's big news. We'll talk about that in just a second. We'll talk more about the college football playoffs. So other things that we're going to hit on today is the Jaylen Miro watch. And we're trying to figure out, is he going to declare for the NFL? Is there going to be a transfer from Jaylen Miro, or is he going to return? T, tell us about the story yesterday with your mom calling you.
Yeah, so, sorry, Kellen Russell.
No, I'm talking Jaylen Miro. Remember your mom called you.
Oh, sorry. My mom called yesterday, and she was like, hey, so I just heard from a friend that he is heading to Notre Dame.
Yeah, so
like, I don't know about that.
I would be really careful right now with all of this going on, with a lot of fake news that's going on. There's some really powerful Facebook channels. I've been talking about this all season that put out what looks to, I mean, we get duped too. So you have to double check. A good way to do this is to follow the team reporters that cover Alabama football. These guys literally live and are connected. Like, they are guys at the University of Alabama who feed these team reporters information, 100%. So these guys specifically give the team reporters like the scoop. So you want to stick with your team reporters, and until you see it from the team reporters, I wouldn't believe it. So there was a rumor yesterday. Who saw the rumor? Raise your hand inside the comment box if you saw that Jaylen Miro was transferring to Notre Dame. It looked legit. Go ahead, T.
I think where it started was an opinion piece written by somebody that said that he should, and it kind of just caught fire.
Yeah. Okay. So anyways, a lot of people saw it. It's not true. Jaylen Miro has not announced anything. All he said after the game was that he was soaking in the moment. So that's kind of what we have. And I think the three options for Jaylen Miro are NFL, transferring, or returning. I think it's going to be the NFL. But when you look to the quarterbacks that played yesterday, or when you look to other quarterbacks that are comparable to Jaylen Miro, where does Jaylen Miro fall within the NFL draft? On one side, we would have imagine if Jaylen Miro would have opted out. Oh my goodness. People would have been people are hating on him now for his play, not his character. Nothing has to do with his character, for his play. If he would have opted out, there'd have been a more character issue, red flag, right? But the thing is, he probably should have opted out because and you can't tell the future. But if he would have, that is the last performance that he had. So people are looking at him. Everybody who has an NFL team, there's probably not one person inside this comment box that wants Miro on their team. So you got to be thinking like NFL draft, how are they looking at Miro? On the other side of the coin, you look to the intangibles that he has, right? I mean, Kellen Russell said he's a tank, what he brings to the table, but he wants to run the ball more. So I don't know. I mean, there's certain NFL programs, organizations where he would fit in. We're on Jaylen Miro watch. So as soon as he announces something, we'll go live with it. But in terms of what he has announced, he hasn't announced anything. What do you think if he goes into Coach Kalen DeBoer's office and he's like, yo, I want to come back? How do you think that would impact other players on the team? I think some people would be happy, right? Because that means Ryan Williams is going to catch 157 balls, right? Jeremy Bernard, he's going to catch passes. But you've seen there's been 5 wide receivers that hit the transfer portal. I think a lot of those guys were, and you do have quality wide receivers coming in. It's hard to play wide receiver here. It's hard to play wide receiver anywhere. But we've never been in this phase before to where you have a quarterback that could come back that you love as a person, but you don't value as a quarterback because he can't run the offense effectively, right? What a weird situation to be in. And he's a captain on the team, right? Good dude, but just not the quarterback that fits this current system, all right? LT Overton announced yesterday that he is returning. There's really been, I was thinking, there's only been 2 players that have announced, made any sort of announcements. Actually, 3. Right? Let's write this down, T, so we can continue to keep track of this, please. All right, so we got Parker Brailsford. He's coming back, right? Your offensive center, which is great. You have Jan Miller, who announced that he's coming back as well. And then yesterday, you have LT Overton. LT Overton coming back. I have a graphic. I'm going to show you the bandit position, which I think LT Overton coming back, look, all of those announcements so far, Parker Brailsford is huge. Okay. That dude is good. Jan Miller, beast. LT Overton, beast. I think that's huge. For the defensive side, that is bigger than Kelby Collins transferring over here. Kelby Collins, he didn't play because he was beat out. I don't think that he's going to beat out LT Overton. So he's number 2 over here. Keon Keeley, he's maybe number 2 or number 3 at that bandit position. And then you had Jordan Renard. It takes a long time to get on the field here, but you do need depth because, it's a gauntlet of a season. But with LT coming back for 2025, that is really big news for Alabama's defense. Jaren Hamilton hitting the transfer portal. And I think that when you look to the wide receivers, look, if you played this silly game, NCAA football, and you kind of go through seasons, Jaren Hamilton is absolutely a beast on this game, but he is leaving, and he's the fifth wide receiver to hit the transfer portal. The wide receiver position is still fine, despite, 5 transfers going out. I have another graphic that I'm going to show you in just a second. The guys coming in are suitable to play at a very high level. I still feel that this is one of the best wide receiver units in the country. Before I get to those graphics, I kind of have a bottom line on from what I watched yesterday. And I feel, now look, sometimes when I say things, I want to tell you the truth. And I feel that there's, sometimes, and look, I don't watch other programs, and other programs exist, and I encourage you to watch them. I stay in my lane, but I'm not going to try to like walk you off the ledge and like tell you everything's okay. Like, I want to tell you how I feel that things are right now. Okay. And this is honestly, I sat down yesterday and I wrote this out. I feel that bottom line, I feel that new coaching here at Alabama, NIL, and the transfer portal have closed the separation gap that Alabama had for like a decade. I really do. And I think that happened a lot faster than we anticipated, because you look to right now, I mean, other teams have really good players. Other teams have really good coaches. Other teams are beating Alabama that wouldn't normally be beating Alabama, and nobody fears Alabama as they once did when Coach Saban was walking the team out, right? And like, what do you, and you have Greg Byrne begging and now kind of pumping the chest that they got a lot of money, but where's that money going to, man? I hope it's going to Rico Scott. Man, you think about that. I mean, I hope Rico Scott got paid. That guy is a baller. And I don't know if Jaylen Mbakwe is making more money than Rico Scott, but man, if I was Rico Scott, I'd be like, yo, man, based off my performance and based off what I'm capable to do, hey, I want to see, I want to restructure that deal. I don't know if any of that's happening, but I hope, and I think it handcuffs coaches, because you have to deal with a lot of this because they're getting paid before they've even done anything. But I think that the separation gap has really closed on Alabama, and I think it closed really, really fast. So, that's kind of the bottom line, right? All right, let's and I appreciate you. If I don't hit you up in the comment box, I see you guys' post, and I'll get back to you later. I appreciate you guys for being here. Somebody said yesterday, they were like, man, you say you appreciate too much. I do. If I didn't thank you guys, and if I didn't interact with you guys, I would be non-existent. I would have to do something else. So I do take time to acknowledge you. I'm not a salary employee. I do not work for ESPN. I do not work for Rivals. I do not work for 24/7. I don't work for anybody. I work for myself. And, there's good months, there's tough months. So that's the route that I choose. And so without you, I'm not a content creator, right? So here's a little graphic I put together. Man, this Cam Scatterbo, damn, this dude was, how good was this guy?
More yards than Texas combined.
Did he have more yards than Alabama? How many yards total did Alabama have? This dude was an absolute monster. And I love the fact that they kept showing his dad. And his dad, can you imagine whoever has a son out there or a daughter, and when you see them performing, one of the craziest things that happened to me was watching my daughter perform dance. I had never seen, because she practiced all season long, and then she went out and danced. It like made my brain tingle, right? I was so proud. The same thing with Caden when he's playing inside linebacker and he's lighting some dude up. So they kept showing this guy's dad, and anybody who has a child out there. My goodness, I feel that like Cam Scatterbo, right? This guy absolutely, and I love his journey too, right? Was at Sacramento State and then came to Arizona State, and this season that he had and what he did on the field yesterday, absolutely impressive. I'm talking about playing with the heart, talk about playing with mentality. You look at Quinn Ewers, right? You look to what he was able to do, and the fact that I felt that these quarterbacks, again, were all better than Jaylen Miro. I mean, did it on the field, 322 yards, 3 touchdowns in the game. And then, my goodness, look, we all love Ryan Williams and what he's capable of, and he made a hell of a catch that was out of bounds. But the way that they designed the offense around Jeremiah Smith from Ohio State, this guy, you seen this guy play? What were you thinking when the first touchdown of the game, you barely turned the touchdown on, right? Or the TV on, and you see this guy running down the field. Somebody said he's like LeBron James, right? On the football field. I don't know about that. Somebody said it was comparable like Julio Jones. And the other thing is like Ryan Day, this guy's mad. He's pissed off. This guy understands how embarrassing it was to lose to Michigan and was able to get his team back on track. You know, one of the only people that I've seen so far that said that Ohio State could win the whole title a couple weeks ago was Coach Saban, right? Coach Saban said that Ohio State has the components, which I completely agree with. And yeah, he is a man on fire. It's like he's kind of like almost like a dead man walking too. He loses that game against Oregon. I think Ohio State has a real big talk with him, right? About his career, about his direction, because he can't win that big game. So Ryan Day is pissed off for greatness. He's a guy who's been punched in the face, right? So yeah, that team looks absolutely fantastic. They got a really good defense, a lot of different components on the offensive side. And then these bottom games, look, Ashton Genty, like, this guy had 2,600 yards this year, 29 touchdowns. Penn State knew that they were just going to run. He had 30 rushes in that game for like 20 yards or something like that. I even thought the Boise State quarterback was pretty good. I really did. James Franklin, I've been hard on this guy. I'm still going to be hard on him. They had an easy route. They had SMU and then they had Boise State, okay? But here they are in the quarterfinals. And then we have the other game taking place today. Georgia taking on Notre Dame, right? So I'm excited about the game today. I would imagine that Georgia is able to win this game, but we're at this point in time where college football season, you have time to prepare for teams at an extra level. Guys are amped up. Who knows? Is everybody taking Georgia today? What's the line on this, Jarvis? If you're inside the comment box, what's the updated line with Georgia and Notre Dame? The last I saw was pretty tight. It was almost like a pick 'em. It was like 1.5. So is anybody picking Notre Dame today? T, who are you taking? Notre Dame, Georgia?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm going to take Georgia.
Yeah, you got to take Georgia. I think Love Bama's taking Georgia or Notre Dame inside the comment box. I don't know. I'm excited to see the game. And again, look, I said this yesterday on my show. I'm going to say it again. I love New Orleans. I love going there. I love everything about it. It's really upsetting and saddening to see the events that took place a couple nights ago. I love that place for many different reasons. So thoughts and prayers. If you guys remember, there was a student from the University of Alabama who passed away. Man, so thoughts and prayers with the families. It's terrible. Notre Dame's a favorite in that game. Crazy. All right. As I mentioned, LT Overton is staying with the University of Alabama. This is a big announcement. And when you look to the Bandit position for Alabama, this is a fresh graphic that we just cooked up this morning. You have Jaren Latham, and you're like, what? Yeah, he could come back if he wants to. And the thing is, he was actually playing some wolf at the back of the season, right? So you have, and he hasn't announced if he's coming back. And look, he's a redshirt senior, but he has an extra year of eligibility. We don't know on Jahad Campbell yet, Max. But look at this Bandit position. You have LT coming back. You have Keon Keeley. We saw a little bit of him in this game against Michigan. Jordan Renard, beast. And then you have Kelby Collins, who's a new addition. Only one player can play this Bandit position, right? It's a guy who's under 300 pounds that chases your quarterback down. LT Overton is 1,000,000% going to be the starter. He's healthy and everything works out for him. He's 1,000,000% the starter, which will mean that Keon Keeley will have to, he'll get some playing time. But he's not going to be that starter, I would imagine, in 2025 with LT coming back. LT had some of the biggest hits this year, period. He did. He really did. I didn't know he was going to be this good. But this position looks solid, right? What would you say? Let's just say these guys all come back. And maybe Jaren Latham floats between, two positions. On a scale of 1 to 10, how comfortable are you feeling with the Bandit position? 10 being feeling really good. 7, you're like, okay. 5, you're like, Or 1, you're like, this is trash. I'm feeling pretty good, to be honest. I might be like, wow, I'm seeing I was going to say 8.5. 8.5 on the Richter scale, right? Yeah, nines, tens. Yeah, a lot of people really happy about it. I am too. It's a really good position. A lot of depth, a lot of quality depth too. Look, you bring in Kelby Collins. We'll see how he is during springtime. All these other guys, I'm really excited about. So, looks like a very solid bandit position for Alabama in 2025. Right. So, look, 5 transfers from the wide receiver position. And are there alarm bells to start ringing? No, because I'm gonna show you a graphic that I have next about the wide receivers that are coming back for 2025. So, look, I love Kobe Prentice. I thought he was a really good wide receiver. Didn't have the best season this past year. Same thing with Kendrick Law. He was kind of a guy that we waited on. He was never that guy that we thought he was going to be. Emmanuel Henderson, a tough situation. In-state guy, came in as a running back, ends up transferring out. Best wishes to him. Caleb Odom, I felt that his ceiling is really high. I think he'll do a great job at Ole Miss. Him along with Caleb Cunningham. Those were 2 that Lane Kiffin is excited about having with his team. That's how it goes. Rico Scott, my goodness. This guy, you talk about stocks that are up, buy Rico Scott before it's too late. This guy is your slot position player. This guy, look, I think Jaylen Mbakwe is going to be a really good wide receiver. I don't think he's better than Rico Scott yet. He made a pretty damn good catch, though, Jaylen Mbakwe on the sideline. So, and then you have Jaren Hamilton. Didn't see too much of Jaren Hamilton. Understand why he bounced out. And look, if you were out there and you were wondering, you're like, why didn't we get Casey Concepcion or someone else? Well, you did. You got your Jaylen Mbakwe, right? And you got Isaiah Horton. So this is the wide receiver room coming to 2025. Let me ask you, from just this snapshot right here at the wide receiver room, I'm going to do the same thing. This is called roster management. Scale of 1 to 10, how you feeling about the wide receiver room? I think it is still a very outstanding wide receiver room. And no disrespect to Jaren Hamilton, who left, but when we posted it, people were like, is he, like, who is he? You haven't heard too much about him. I understand that. He didn't get a lot of opportunities on the field. He's a good football player. We wish him well wherever he goes. He's not a significant loss, though. That's not hating on the kid. It's just facts. We do not know about Jeremy Bernard, if he will come back this coming season or not. He hasn't announced it. He's probably going over draft grades right now. I think, is he a 3rd round guy? Is he a 4th round guy? I don't know. And Prime D1, I see a lot of people talking about Squirrel White. You bring Squirrel White in, or you bring in another wide receiver, which maybe that could be the case. I don't know. I don't think that Squirrel White is going to come to Alabama. And if he does, who is he going to play over? Right? Now, you have to understand, too, with the new quarterback, it's going to be a completely different offense. You're probably going to have 5 wide receivers that get touches rather than just 2. So, I don't know. I think the wide receiver room is really good right now. If you get Squirrel White, I think that'd be a welcome addition. But let's remember, this wide receiver room brought in Isaiah Horton, who was a vet from Miami. We all like him. Jordan Bernard, baller. Ryan Williams, my goodness, right? Jaylen Mbakwe looked good in the one opportunity that we saw him. Rico Scott, stock is way up. Cole Adams, this guy's a warrior. Played with a fake arm and basically a fake leg almost. Jalen Hell, this guy's coming back as well. And while we can't predict the future on when he gets 100%, but you do not want 100% Jalen Hell going somewhere else. I'll tell you, you want me to scare you? Let's say Jalen Hell gets 100%, okay, and he's not getting the ball. You do not want him going to Ohio State. You do not want him going to Ole Miss, okay? Keep Jalen Hell here. This guy, I'm telling you, okay? Bubba Hampton, haven't seen him yet, still in development. Same thing with Amari Jefferson, Latsier Brooks, and then Derek Meadows, who my camera's covering. So that's the wide receiver room coming into Alabama. But I like the room. And how many of those guys are going to get touches with the new quarterback? Probably a lot. And I don't know if those guys, Lil Ye, are injury prone. It's just, man, injuries happen. Injuries happen to everybody. It doesn't, I haven't seen it, to me, injury prone is unfortunately, Tua Tagovailoa. That guy just suffered so many different injuries. But Cole Adams, he had 2 different injuries. I guess you could say maybe. But if he has like consecutive injuries within like seasons, sometimes bad things happen. I mean, poor Jaylen, hell, terrible injury. But it's an amazing story to follow with him being back on the field, right? Man. So Jaylen, hell, yeah. And if you bring in Squirrel, right, who's he going to start over? Jalen Mbakwe or Rico Scott? I don't know. So I don't know if he's going to come. I haven't seen too much about it, but I think the wide receiver room is in a pretty good situation right now. As I mentioned earlier, we're on a Jaylen Miro watch. As soon as Jaylen Miro announces if he's going to stay, if he's going to come, let me just get the polls right now. T, can we just post a quick poll on Jaylen Miro? Let me just ask this real quick, all right? And I haven't asked this one time, so I'm gonna do it one time and one time only. You have 590 people watching. Will you just please take a minute and hit the thumbs up on the video? It helps the video's performance. Thank you so much. And one more time, I appreciate you. I'm also just a grateful dude. So these are the poll questions. This is regarding Jaylen Miro. Option 1, do you think that Jaylen Miro go to the NFL draft? Option 2, do you think that Jaylen Miro will transfer? Option 3, do you think that Jaylen Miro will return? Those are the 3 options. So I'm going to put a poll inside the comment box. T's going to add it. And go ahead and give me your feedback right now inside the comment box. I'm saying NFL. It's not a strong NFL class. I would agree with that, but I just think it's the NFL. A lot of people are starting to say transfer. Option 3, returns. See, I don't think he's going to return. I think it's either between the NFL and transfer. And I would have bet the house. Even there was, guys connecting like Alex Scarborough from 24/7 said that he's going to announce the NFL after that game. Well, I don't think anybody anticipated him having the performance that he had against Michigan. And I'll tell you what, I was talking with T earlier. Let's rewind, okay? So let's go back into time. Remember that Texas game, okay? Last year. Not to reopen a wound, but I just want to point something out. Remember, there was a throw to the left that was intercepted on I think it was on the first drive, okay? There was a similar interception that he threw against Michigan to the outside left, right? It was another interception that he threw to the outside right against Oklahoma. So, man, while you want to think of Jaylen Miro as the quarterback that he was in that first half of Georgia, or about the gravedigger, right? Oh, man, it's the performance that he had against Michigan, I think, was more connected to the later half of the season. And you look to his overall numbers and you saw him really regressing as a quarterback. And that's the truth of it. He regressed. And maybe there's an NFL program that can get him in and, use his natural attributes that he has and, transform him. We have seen quarterbacks transform before. This is always a debate. I don't know if Jalen Hurts transformed when he went to Oklahoma, but there was a lot of people at one time that felt that Jalen Hurts would never be a quality quarterback in the NFL, right? Now you look to where Jalen Hurts is in the NFL, you get him on your fantasy football team if you can.
A little bit back asking if you thought he should have been benched.
Yeah, I thought he should have been benched a couple different times, during the season. I felt that Coach Kalen DeBoer had some opportunities to try a different quarterback. And what I was saying by that was just try out a different quarterback just to get some momentum, not for the whole season. We even saw Steve Sarkisian use a different quarterback just for a little bit. He put Arch in. Just sometimes you just need a different change of pace. It wasn't for the whole season, but he never did that. And I think the one thing that is going to be really difficult for Coach Kalen DeBoer to come over is the fact that he said that he saw the fire in his eyes, and that's why he kept him in. Man, that wasn't good, because what does that tell us about Ty? Does Ty have no fire in his eyes? And what if we get back to this next season And like a great question would be like, you know, hey, Coach Kalen DeBoer, it should have been after the game. Hey, Coach, I noticed you saw a lot of fire in Jaylen Miro's eyes. Does that mean that Ty Simpson doesn't have any fire? And what if we get to the spring and you're like, oh, Coach, who has more fire in their eye right now? Kellen Russell or Ty Simpson? Well, Ty Simpson wants to be the coach eventually. And I think, you know, you looked at the schematics, but the fire, like, it was confusing. I thought he never should have said that. Right? That was like, man, that was probably like one of the worst things that you could have said was like the fire in his eyes, man. Right? So we get to this quote, and you talk about fire. I'm going to have T read this out. So this is from a recent quote from Kellen Russell, who was at the Under Armour All-American game, and he's talking about the mindset that he has. And look, Kellen Russell straight up said that Alabama wants him to be the starter right away from the jump. 100%. T, could you read this out?
Yeah, he said, I'm there to get the starting position by any means. They know I'm there to take spots. I'm coming there to start.
There you go. It sounds like fire to me.
Yeah.
And what is that? And by the way, Rocket Town is saying that he plays today at 3 p.m. on ESPN, so we can all watch that game. We never saw Ty come in the limited opportunity. I think of Ty against Wisconsin, where he completed some passes to Caleb Odom. And I don't know this for sure, but to me, by him not playing Ty Simpson, it made me feel that Ty is not ready, or he's just not the quarterback we think he could be right now. And clearly Austin Mack must be still in development as well. So it looks like Kellen Russell is coming to be the guy. Let's ask another poll. All right, so it looks like 56% are saying NFL and 38% are saying transfer. All right, now let's ask this, and this could be a whole different video for a different time in space. But who will be the quarterback next coming out of spring? Will it be option one, Ty Simpson? Oh, you know what? I think if we do it that way, it'll be Ty Simpson 100%. Let's do it for who will be the starting quarterback in 2025? Will it be Ty Simpson, Kellen Russell, or Austin Mack? And I think it's going to be, to start, it's going to be Ty Simpson. So this vote will probably be heavy Ty. But who will retain the quarterback? I don't know. I guess who has more fire in their eye. No, I think this year, I think Kalen DeBoer, and kind of getting to like the headline of the topic, is like Kalen DeBoer the right guy for the job. I think it's way too early to start even questioning that, to be honest. I think we can ask some questions about his coaching philosophy and about the changing of the guard from the greatest all time to Coach Kalen DeBoer. But in terms of like, does he need to be on the hot seat? Does he need to be like fired? I think it's too early from that, because we haven't even, I don't think we have enough data points with, I want to see like two different quarterbacks operate the offense and what he does from like a 2-year, 3-year window with this new playoff format. Now, if you don't make the playoffs this next season, I think the seat does, you turn on like level 1 of the heats, in your car, you have like different levels for your seat heater. I think that it's too early. I think it's a disappointing season. I think this season was a failure, but I think there were successes, right? You look at the number 2 recruiting class, right? You look to the fact that there was a couple of different bright spots, but it's crazy to think that Coach Kalen DeBoer's, I don't know, early career is riding on the fact that this guy isn't even here yet. It's a quarterback that's going to get here in January. So that's what Kellen Russell's thinking. What's the early poll say, T?
Then 56%.
Wow. So and then 30.
Russell
Okay.
is 37%.
So look, I understand that this dude's approval rating isn't good right now. I am not happy with him. I am not happy with a lot of different things, because the standard of Alabama football, in my opinion, really is trending the opposite way and fast. That could all change rather quickly. It doesn't take, I always say this, it doesn't take long for Alabama to get momentum. But I think when you look to the fact that there's not one quarterback on the roster that has experience going into this next season, the fact that you have a more challenging schedule in 2025, and the fact that I think Coach Kalen DeBoer has a really hard time not making, like, I think he's a people pleaser. And I think when you coach in the SEC, you can't be a people pleaser. And you can work on that. But right now, I feel that the priority at Alabama is to be a cool school and to make the players happy, rather than Coach Kalen DeBoer just being like, look, this is the plan. This is how things are going to be. And if you're not happy with it, then you could either, work harder to get on the field, or you can leave. But I don't think he's going to do that, because look, this, and you know what was scary is the whole Jaylen Miro thing. Now you see Jaylen Miro like hand in hand with Ryan Williams. I'm telling you, Jaylen Miro is not going to be, I think it's going to be hard for him to continue to see Ryan Williams in the limelight. Now they're doing everything with like Jaylen Miro to like make him happy. And it's tough. I think Jaylen Miro is a fantastic athlete, but he's not Ryan Williams. He wants to be. He's not. And I think Coach Kalen DeBoer set a really difficult precedent right there by, kind of folding in and getting him paid. And if you don't think he got paid, you're crazy, because Greg Byrne literally said after the next day, they were like, there's people trying to get him. And then, he was like, we have a huge slew of additions from Alabama. I'm serious. I wonder how Rico Scott feels after that. And Rico Scott was the one that went out and performed. So I don't know. I think that, and a lot of it is entitled. These guys, 1,000,000%, all of them. A lot of it is entitlement. I think a lot of it is because people in the background are like, hey, you deserve more money. You're a 5-star player. You have an NIL evaluation of this and that. Well, you haven't played yet. It doesn't matter. This is who I am. Pay me. And that's where we're at. And I think it's a lot of, and I know this would probably make a lot of people mad, and I'm sure University of Alabama probably, get upset about this, but it's a lot of word salad, bro. Like, there's no accountability right now. I never saw one time that Coach Kalen DeBoer came out and said, I am directly accountable for these losses. He never says that. So people at Alabama, they love their team. They love their brand, and they love their coach. And they're going to 100% continue to support them, which they should, because it's just been 1 year. But right now, when you look at the separation gap, I think it's concerning. I think it's concerning that you have teams around the country that have just as good teams, if not how. And this is the thing I asked yesterday: where do you think Alabama is going to be ranked at the back end of the season? I don't know. He's soft. When you think to other coaches compared to Coach Kalen DeBoer, it's not like Kiffin. He's different. He's not like Lanning. Those coaches seem mean. So here we stand, right, at with a 9-4 season. And for the people that keep showing graphics that Coach Saban lost, I don't know, however many games in his first year, or Kirby Smart, those are stats. Those are good comparable stats. But Coach Kalen DeBoer had a pretty good roster entering this season. And look, for the Nick Sheridan stuff, I think that Nick Sheridan, this SEC offense was over his head. But at the same point, Nick Sheridan, what are you going to do with Nick Sheridan? I'm not defending Nick Sheridan because I don't know how much better he is than Tommy Rees. But the fact of the matter is, what is Nick Sheridan going to do when Coach Kalen DeBoer won't take out Jaylen Miro? You see what I'm saying? Like, Nick Sheridan can't override DeBoer. He's working with Jaylen Miro. That's it. But a lot of times I'm like watching Nick Sheridan call plays, and I'm watching college football yesterday, and I'm like, damn, these teams scheme so much more effectively than Alabama does. right? The way, go back, like watch the games today. I don't know. I mean, Notre Dame, we'll see what they do. And Georgia's playing with their backup quarterback. But yesterday, that was enough for me to be like, man, schematically, these teams are a lot better than Alabama is. And I'm telling you, look, this graphic right here, viewer discretion advised. This season's tough. This next year's hard. Every season's going to be hard. B-Rob, what's up, man? I appreciate the comments inside the comment box. Says, you're thinking too much, Kyle. I understand your opinion, though. QB play was our main issue. We got better quarterbacks. Yeah, 100%. I think that quarterback was the biggest issue for Alabama this year, followed by the offensive line, specifically on the right side. I think schematically things weren't rhythmic on the offensive side. And I think beating Alabama, people figured it out a long time ago when Vanderbilt just held the ball from Alabama, right? So the teams that won time of possession beat Alabama. And it was Vanderbilt and that figured that out. And there was a lot of times that Alabama was never able to adjust to that. And that's on the defensive side. Now, I did see the defensive side of the ball trend a little bit upwards towards the back end of the season. I know that they're dealing with injuries and whatnot, but the fact that they finished out, highly regarded in a team that forced turnovers was promising. I still would like to see more pass rush. I do like the play of James Smith. I was really, really impressed with Zay Mincy. He's not going to be a starter next year, but it's good to have depth. So I mean, you look at the season right here, it's going to be smoke and years for the first 3 games because you're going to blow out Florida State, Louisiana Monroe. They're going to, walk all over those guys. Same thing. Luke Fickell will come down here and take, a beating number 2 by Coach Kalen DeBoer. And then you get into this chunk schedule right here. Look at that meat of that schedule. That's thicker than a Jersey Mike's sandwich. That's the problem with Jersey Mike's. Why did they give you so much lettuce? No, I'm serious. Have you guys been to Jersey Mike's?
And mayo.
No, but it's the lettuce.
It is a lot of lettuce.
And it's good. I love Jersey Mike's. It's great. But they just like grab so much lettuce. And all right. Georgia, Vanderbilt, Missouri, Tennessee, South Carolina. That's tough. And LSU, Oklahoma, Eastern Illinois, Auburn. I think that's also tough, minus the Eastern Illinois. I mean, Brian Kelly, you'll beat him. Brett Venables, you owe him, from last year. But they got the best quarterback in the transfer portal. Those 2 quarterbacks back-to-back are tough. Garrett Nussmeier was pretty underperforming when they played, though. And then Jackson Arnold. And look at the 3 quarterbacks in the back end of the season. Garrett Nussmeier, Jonathan Meek, and then Jackson Arnold. Man, that's tough. Lenore Sellers, Nico. Look at the quarterbacks you play this next year. Man. But in terms of like, is Kalen DeBoer the right guy for the job? I think that's to be determined. Like, if you're out there and you're like, fire him now, I think it's too early for that. I think we need to see if he can work on that separation gap. And he might not be able to. College football now is like a completely different world with NIL, transfer portal. I was wondering that too, Rich B, if Quiznos is still open. When I lived in D.C., I used to look. I didn't like Quiznos because I felt that the bread was too thick. But I did like the fact that they ran it through that machine.
Quiznos, and Firehouse is better than Quiznos. So
Firehouse is really good. What was the sandwich that we had at Firehouse?
Italian, I guess.
Was it an Italian?
Yeah.
That Firehouse is.
I think you had the hook and ladder too. Which is
Firehouse is legit. Yo, that sandwich came out nice and warm. If my food isn't warm, I like we doing soup.
Cold mashed potatoes.
Yeah, that's why I don't like Blue Plate here in Tuscaloosa. Okay, look, I know this started a war, but like here in Tuscaloosa, people love Blue Plate. I've gone there several different times with tea. Every single time they bring up the mashed potatoes, it's cold.
If you want to make Kyle really mad, give him cold mashed potatoes.
Yo, I was like, what? I was like, yo, I know. It's a shots fired. Yo, Warm up the mashed potatoes, man. All right, cool.
Snell's World came in with a super chat saying we'll be a lot better next year with a balanced offense because the problems are leaving.
And that's the thing. It's crazy to think that, and I think this is why to be patient too with Coach Kalen DeBoer is like you have this quarterback coming in, Kellen Russell. Ask anybody, and every single time you're like, oh God, here we go, hyping up another freshman. This guy seems different. He looks different. I'm excited about him. Okay. Charlie Strong. No, he's no longer on the staff. Bama boy. I used to see Charlie Strong. Out of all the coaches that kind of live up in this area, I don't see a lot of them. But Charlie Strong, I see him every once in a while. Big old smile. Always really well dressed. He always had like a tie on. Every time I passed him, I'd be like in a hoodie, and this dude would be like with the tie on. He'd be like perfectly clean, man. But I thank you for watching today. I hope you guys had a good show. As news happens, I'll be back on. So if you got like a transfer or some mega news, please hit the subscription button so you're notified when we go live. My regular shows are at 10 a.m. This week has kind of been different because I've had the dog in the hospital, and we flew back from Vegas the other night at like 2 a.m. It was New Year's, but our regular lives are at 10 a.m. Central Time, and then as major news happens. I'm also going to continue to upload these as podcasts to Spotify and to Apple or whatever. I haven't been able to do that because I've been on the road, and the internet on the road is super light. It's not strong enough to upload how I'd like it to. So I will get back to that because I know there's a lot of people that like to listen on podcast format, which is cool with me. Drop me a post inside the comment box, whether it's anything that you have. We might do for tomorrow's show, for Friday, we might do like a Q&A. So I might look for the community tab, and I'll post like a Q&A answer series. But the last thing is, I know you guys have been asking about Pearl. We are trending in the right direction with my French Bulldog. They're checking her kidneys. They are still looking at, protein level right now. And, dogs are family. So if you have dogs out there, enjoy them. And, dogs love you. Dogs get it. Life is better with dogs. So I appreciate the prayers. Thank you so much. I hope you had a great time on the show today. I understand some of these things that we talk about might make you uncomfortable, might make you pissed off. One of the things is, feel free to drop comments inside the comment box. And if you don't agree with me, that is okay. I would never belittle you. I would never be upset with you because this is, we're talking here, and I want to hear your opinion too. So feel free to disagree. Feel free to provide positive criticism. I'm fine. I can accept that. And I always am trying to work on my show. So if there's something that you think I could even work on, drop it inside the comment box. I'll be glad to take note of it. So thank you so much. Yeah, why would you get upset? This is YouTube, right? Have an amazing day. Enjoy Georgia versus Notre Dame. Again, thoughts and prayers to everybody affected in New Orleans. Our thoughts and prayers are out with you, especially to the young family who had a student here at the University of Alabama. Love you guys. Have a great day. Roll Tide to you. And I will catch up with you soon as news happens right here on Bama Football on YouTube. See you, fam.